Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my updated review of the Westside Discs Harp. I have them in Origio, VIP, Moonshine, and Tournament Plastic to show you. I don't think I have flight footage on all of those, but we will be taking a look at how these fly out there on the course and in the field as well. And I will also be comparing them to the something pretty natural, I think you'll agree, as we go a little further, is the Ricky Pig. Got an old school Zone we're going to take a look at, as well as the Tactic, which is kind of like a beadless harp. So all of that and more. Stay tuned. Let's get into it. So this is a disc that I reviewed previously many years ago. I reviewed a soft harp. It was in my bag at that time. It was very overstable, probably too overstable for me at that point in my career, my time playing. And I think that's why I stopped throwing it eventually. Ricky Wysocki went on to make this disc kind of legendary in his time with Latitude 64. He won 2 different world titles throwing the BT Hard harps on a tremendous number of shots. I mean, every round, that's what he was leaning on. Time after time, it was harps, forehand, backhand, short tee shots, all of his approaches, and really kind of made the disc famous in that time. Fast forward several years later, I'm amassing an enormous pile of overstable approach discs for an upcoming video, and one that I really thought I needed to have was the harp. So we grabbed this Origio harp here, 4303 are the flight numbers. I grabbed a pair of these and added them to the inventory, to all the other stuff I'm testing. At that time, I was bagging the Prodigy A3 for forehand approaches, and I started testing the harp, and it immediately kind of just did everything the A3 could do, and it was cheaper, more commonly available. The A3 at that time in 400 plastic was quite uncommon. It was really hard to find them. So I switched to the harp. A little bit later, I started throwing these VIP harps. I have this one here that I threw quite a bit already, and this is my newest one. My good friend Anthony just dyed up for me that is in my bag currently. So we're going to take a look at all that stuff. Another disc I also have, now that Ricky is back throwing Trilogy Plastic on Team Dynamic Discs now, he immediately released these harps with the new VIP Moonshine blend. So these are very different in feel, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. And I also have a tournament plastic harp that was sent to me by a kind individual named Dottis Smith, who reached out to me through Instagram. So let's start with the Origio. That's where I started, and these are great because they are baseline plastic that breaks in faster, so if you want them to be a little bit less overstable, something that maybe has like a hair of flip up to it before it maintains that overstability, or something that won't bite quite as hard at the end of the flight, breaking in a harp is probably your best way to do that, and this baseline plastic is for sure going to break in much faster than the VIP and the tournament plastic ones will. The nice thing about the more durable ones is that if they fly the way you want them to early on, they're probably going to continue to do that for quite a while. The baseline ones are definitely flatter, right? So you have more of this puddle top going on. So that feels a little bit better in the hand for forehand, and tends to make it a little bit more beefy, a little less float to it, a little more bite at the end of the flight. And you can also see, as I swing around here, that the harp has kind of a little bit of a bead on the bottom there. That's it is a bead, but it's not like super well defined. It's not very big, but it's there. So that'll help kind of improve the durability over time, as well as that bead will take some of the wear. The tournament plastic one, this burst one here, is pretty stable. One of the more stable ones I have in the premium plastics, I would say. And this one is also pretty flat across the top, not quite puddle top. The premium ones won't be quite as flat as the baseline ones for sure. But same flight numbers and everything, basically the same, same disc really. It's not that big of a difference. This one's beautiful, bursty colors here. Got this really nice physics of flight kind of portal stamp, which definitely speaks to me. This is one of my favorites in the collection. I like that disc a lot. I carried that thing without ever testing it and played around with it, and it performed great. I didn't really have any time to adjust. This is the newest one. Again, we have the Ricky 2-time glow harp, Moonshine harp. These are really, really puddle topped as well. Really flat with that puddle top. These are the most scoop to flat top of the premium ones that I've tested. The VIPs all tend to have a little bit more dome. The regular VIPs we're going to look at in a second. This one feels great in terms of the shape, but I don't quite like the plastic as much. It's not as grippy. This new blend glows like crazy. I mean, just unbelievable glow. I'll put an unboxing video at the end of this video where I show how much this thing glows. Probably won't go into it here, just because we have a lot of different things to touch on already. I'm already talking for a while here, but there's a lot of information to impart in this video. So the Moonshine is great, the glow is great, but not my favorite feeling plastic. A little too stiff and a little slippery for my taste. And that one isn't really that much more overstable. I was hoping maybe it would be like a total meat hook, like a mini Justice, and it's not really that beefy. But I only threw that one a few times since it's a collector, and I didn't really care for the feel of it as much as my favorites, which are these VIPs. So this is my Carnage Venom die that I did. I've thrown this one quite a bit. This is a disc I've been leaning on heavily for the whole time it's been in my bag. And then it got bumped out because my buddy gifted me this one, and it's basically interchangeable. So this is a principal forehand approach disc for the last little while here, and it's tremendous for that. The thing I really like about the VIPs is that they will hold their stability for quite a while. Again, not quite as flat as you can see, but pretty close enough. And it doesn't really harm the feel, but they're a little more friendly for backhands, I've noticed. I can hit them pretty good on a backhand, and they won't fly as beefy as some of the other versions will. So I can stretch out a little bit more distance with them on a backhand. All right, first thing I want to compare is the Discmania Evolution Tactic, because in a lot of ways, these are very similar discs. Not exactly the same. As I get them lined up here, you're going to see some of the differences, hopefully. Tactic has a little bit slimmer top there. It's maybe a touch deeper. It feels like it's a little bit deeper, but it could just be because of this little bit longer slant down into the underside there, and then there's no bead as well. Tactic on the left, Harp on the right. Hopefully you're getting a good look there at the differences, but these perform quite similar. I would say the Tactic is a little bit less overstable than the numbers suggest. So if you like the Harp, but you don't like the bead, and you don't need it to be super overstable, Tactic could be a fantastic option because you get the same flat top. And overall, you know, pretty similar feel overall. You can obviously see there are some differences there as I get you the side-by-sides, but still, you know, largely kind of a beadless Harp option if you're into that sort of thing. Then, moving on to the disc that the Harp kind of bumped out of my bag, which is the Caltrop. You know, I started throwing the A3 exclusively for forehands, and then, you know, you can use it backhand as well. Great disc. But when I switched to the Harp, I was also using the Caltrop for my backhands, which is a disc that goes back a long time with me. Caltrop definitely has a deeper feel, and it has the thumb track on there, and it's not as overstable at the end of the flight, but it does have a ton of torque resistance, and it just flies super straight up to speed. It doesn't turn at all. No turn, and it does have like a little bit of a fade to it, and you know, depending on how you throw it, if you put it on hyzer and stuff, it'll fade out pretty strong. But the Caltrop got kind of bumped out of the bag when I started throwing the VIP Harps, because as I said, I can throw those backhand and forehand a little bit better. Okay, cranking along here. We also have a Zone. I think this is just a interesting thing to show next to any of these overstable approach discs, since it is such a classic, something that everybody knows about the Zone at this point. Got Andy's old ink in the inner rim there, but there it is next to a Zone. Just real quick because we can. ESP Zone, great disc, flat top as well. And then finally, I have the Ricky Pig. Let's actually put the Ricky Pig next to this Moonshine. So, obviously, as you guys all know, Ricky, after leaving Latitude 64, started throwing the Pig from Innova, and now it's right back to the Harp. But they are developing another disc that will be kind of somewhere in the middle. I think it's going to be a Harp with a thumb track, so kind of in between a Harp and a Caltrop. That's what I've heard from Ricky in various places, interviews and stuff over the last little while. But the Harp and the Pig are quite different. Pig's got much more mass in that rim than the Harp. The Harp is like, doesn't have as much width to the rim. As you can see, the Pig has that really kind of blocky rim that protrudes out there, has the thumb track, and it is also quite flat overall. But yeah, you can see they're definitely quite different. I would say this Pig, based on the testing that we did with it a few years ago, definitely more overstable than the average Harp will start out. Not, you know, they're still plenty beefy, don't get me wrong, but I remember that Pig being quite overstable, having a lot of fade at the end of the flight. All right, so as we take a look at some more of the flight footage here, you guys are going to get the idea. You guys already know how the Harp flies. It's an overstable approach disc, and it's a great one. It's arguably one of the best on the market. It is definitely the one that I will continue to use until something else bumps it out. And you guys know that I've tested a huge number of these. Part of that is because I stockpiled a few when I had the opportunity to, so that would kind of keep me on track and prevent me from being as likely to switch away to something else, which is something that happens. You know, I've tested more plastic than just about anybody, and one of the things that kind of continues to be clear to me is that everybody makes great discs. There's all kinds of great discs out there from all kinds of different companies, and sometimes you just gotta stick with one. Pick one, go with it, and stick with it for a long period of time and get used to it, because it's always easy to find something else that will work. In my opinion, I have no issue replacing anything in my bag. I know I can find something that will do the job. It's just more a matter of what you're comfortable with and what you have confidence with. So if you stick with something for a longer period of time, that should help you in that respect. So I'll keep throwing the harps because they're really easy to find. They're common. They're a popular mold. The Origio harps are a dime a dozen. You know, that was part of the reason why I switched to them when I did. It's because you can find them. They're cheap. They're easy to find. You can find misprints sometimes for the VIPs and the Origios and the BTs and stuff. So there's lots of different options out there. You can get a nice soft one if you want more softness for ground play, or for cold climates, or for a little bit better catching in the chains. And it's just an all-around solid approach disc. Overstable, throw it as hard as you want, won't flip, and you know how it's going to fly. Tremendous forehand disc, though. Just so nice for the forehand approach, because you can get them to fly on all kinds of different angles. They can handle the torque, and just a phenomenal disc to chip out a little short forehand to get you up to the basket. It's a really great disc for that. So that is my updated review on the harp. Lots of different information, lots of things to talk about in there. Hopefully I didn't confuse you with anything. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions about any of this stuff. And also, please hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the channel, to stay tuned to with what we're up to. I'd really appreciate that. We're coming up on 14,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to hit 15,000 this calendar year. I think it's doable, and I need your help. So if you like the videos, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned, and let's build this channel and keep geeking out on plastic together. I really enjoy showing off all the great stuff for you guys. Also, a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters for their continued support. You guys are amazing. Team Upper Park is awesome as well. You can order a bag from Upper Park with my code DiscGolfNerd10. I appreciate all you guys, and I'll talk to you very soon. Cheers.